How you doing? So, a lot of people is going to be getting Morbius, I believe, tomorrow. And also, I want to mention something about the clock. Forget about the clock. My time will be different than yours. I just don't know how to record without showing the clock, and I didn't want to make like 50 screenshots. So what's really more important here is about Morbius and when it comes to his abilities, which I'm gonna go over in detail. So let's look at it. When it comes to his survivability, 4.5, damage 4.5, ease of use 3.5, utility 3.5, defender strength 2. I don't really necessarily agree with these attributes. I mean, survivability 4.5, I guess that would make sense if they include his running damage mastery. I think with damage mastery, he becomes more survivable. He has a higher survivability, I believe, because when you have liquid courage as well as willpower, you're instantly going to trigger that undying pretty much the entire fight as long as you have him awaken, and preferably at max sig. As you know, this is designed for champions that are max sig. When it comes to damage 4.5, I might agree and disagree because there are some champions obviously that can shrug off debuffs, which is his weakness, and there's damage cap. So maybe not 4.5, but I'm okay with that. I would probably give him a 4 when it comes to damage. Ease of use 3.5. I don't think he's the hardest champion to use, but if you want to really use him skillfully, I think he's definitely going to be harder than 3.5. Utility 3.5, I might give him a 4 for utility. I think his utility is actually pretty good. Defender strength, I don't think he's that hard as a defender. You just got to be careful when he throws his medium attack because it'll be unblockable. So when it comes to this defender strength, he has that burst damage. I don't know if I would call it burst damage, but he has huge damage when it comes to special 2. He has ability to regen, and when it comes to anti-regeneration and ability power rate. When I first saw this, I was thinking it was combat rate, which I thought, wow, that's going to be really OP, which I'm going to talk about later. Stronger when nullified. So this is really good, especially against nodes, which can be seen a lot in Incursion as well as against Mystic champions when they nullify your buffs or reduce your ability accuracy with Neutralize, like Weaken, Rintra, because Morbius will be constantly throwing his Psychonic Glide without limits, because if you can nullify his what is called the Fever buff. The Fever buff actually prevents him from doing the Psychonic Glide. So let me just show you what the Fever buff is. Weakness, as I mentioned, you don't want him against purified champions, like mostly skilled champions, and you don't want him to be heal block. Psychonic Glide is basically from outside of striking distance during opponent's special attack, causing all incoming attacks to passively miss. So it's kind of similar to Kitty Pryde Morbius until completing his first medium attack. Psychonic Glide's medium attack is passively unblockable and gains plus 9,817.5 attack rating. As I mentioned in the other videos, I don't think this is modified. So whatever your base attack is, let's say you do increase your attack via Voost or anything like that, or damage mastery, this plus 9,817.5 is just on top of it. So this will be whatever you get. Let's say you have like 9,000 from boost and damage mastery when it comes to your attack, then you're going to throw in that plus 9,817.5 increased attack rating from the medium attack. So there you go. So when it comes to Psychonic Glide, he does inflict bleed debuff damage, which does absolutely nothing. I think this is more for a utility purpose instead of damage purposes. This will get by like really great against bleed vulnerability, polka dot power. I was saying about in my past video that it would be really nice if it had the same potency as, what do you call that, Omega Sentinel, because Omega Sentinel's, I think, is underrated, and her when he inflict incinerate debuff on you, she can stack up to 20, and that can go really really strong. Why I think this would be so OP, that it would literally be broken, and that will also not only be make him the best champion in MCOC, but it will be broken if he was as powerful as Omega Sentinel's Incinerate, is because he can stack up to 40. Omega Sentinel can only stack up to 20, so you're looking at double. Be double the potency of Omega Sentinel's debuffs if in potential. So that's why I think it would be broken if you had the same potency as Omega Sentinel's debuff. So, but I am a bit disappointed. I wish it would at least be 10 times stronger. Maybe will help get by safeguard and stuff like that, but it is what it is. So let's take a look at bleed effects. So there's a 20% chance for basic attacks to inflict bleed on the opponent, and then it actually increased double that to 40% chance when you have a fever buff, because there's a 100% chance, meaning basically double the chance of you getting bleed debuff on the opponent if you have a fever buff, which it doesn't say here. I'm sure it probably said it in the past, but right now it doesn't say that. But when you have a fever buff, it's basically going to double the chance of your basic attacks to inflict a bleed debuff on the opponent. So each damaging debuff on the opponent lowers regeneration rate by 10% and ability power rate by 5%, max debuffs of 10. So when I saw this at the beginning, I mean, this could be, I was thinking it's combat rate, then I think to myself, wow, this could be the most powerful utility he has in the game. Because, with Petrify, and then, what's that? What do you call that? Despair Mastery, you can go up to like 90%, lower your opponent's power rate up to 90%. Basically, they're almost not getting any power. And I was like, dang, this is OP. Then I realized this is only ability power rate. Then I realized, okay, it's unfortunate, but you know what? It's actually still not bad when it comes to reducing ability power rate. So when it comes to ability power rate, it reduces up to 50% if you have 10 bleeds on the opponent, or really I think it's just 10 debuffs in general. But with Despair, you gain an extra 15% if you have 3 points in Despair, so that's up to 65%. And then with Petrify, it gives you 25% potency, so that's up to 90% reduced ability power rate. So this is going to be really designed for like against Mystic champions who has like Mystic Dispersion. So this is going to really help. Also, something to note, I already confirmed with Daddy Longlegs that it does stack with Mr. Fantastic Petrify debuff. So that could be like, that means that, it can be up to 130% reduce ability power rate, meaning you can actually reduce opponents' power rate if they're running Mystic Dispersion. Like if you're on war, you just need to use that Mr. Fantastic free fight, and then you don't have to do it yourself. One of your teammates can do it for you as well if you do war, if you're doing alliance war, or if you're doing quests as well. So this is going to be really powerful with Mr. Fantastic. If you have a 6-star, it can petrify up to 40%. Okay, so that's going to be 90 plus 40%. That's 130% reduced ability power rate. So this is going to be really, I would say pretty OP against Mystic champions who has Mystic Dispersion, as well as opponents with power gain buff like Hyperion or type of node. So this is going to be really OP, like Morbius at 6 point, was that in Act 6? I don't remember exactly, 6.3, where he gains so much power. I would like to see how this works, especially with Mr. Fantastic ability as well. Also, I want to mention about the regeneration rate. So when you have, so this is up to 100% because of max stack of 10. And then when you have, what do you call that? Despair, 3 points in Despair, that's 115%. So you're actually going to be able to reduce opponents' uh, regeneration rate. Reverse opponent's regeneration rate. And then with Petrify, that's going to be up to 140% minus when it comes to regeneration rate. With Mr. Fantastic Synergy, that's 180% reverse. So you're basically reversing opponent's regen by 80%. That is crazy. That is, I would say, pretty OP. As long as you have 3 points in Despair Mastery and you have Mr. Fantastic as a 6-star with the Petrify debuff, this is going to be OP when it comes to reducing regeneration, or actually reversing regeneration, as well as reversing opponent's ability power rate. So that's going to be really OP. Also, while the opponent is petrified, Morbius gains plus 1% combat rate for each damaging debuff on the opponent, max debuff of 30. So he's going to gain up to 30% combat rate. This will help you throw more special attack. When it comes to special attack 1, I really think the special attack 1 is pretty, I would say, pretty useless, but it is what it is. So there's a 50% chance to inflict a bleed on the hit, but keep in mind, when you most likely have a personal favor buffs, which increase, basically gonna double the chances, there'll be 100% chance for the special attack 1 to inflict a bleed debuff for every hit on the opponent. So that's pretty much just for you to increase your hits, bleeds on the opponent when you throw a special attack 1. This comes really handy when you're in incursion. You just pretty much throw like a special attack 1 with the perpetual offense or prowess buff. Then you throw your special 2 and you're gonna do a lot of damage. So first, also another thing is when it comes to personal favor buffs. So basically, when you have it, it just goes away when you after the special attack 1. So basically, you can glide again after your special attack 1. Let's say you activate it, you glide, you do your 5-hit combo, and then you throw your special attack 1. That pretty much gets rid of the fervor buffs, and you're gonna be able to glide again. So that's what it's gonna benefit from special attack 1. When it comes to special attack 2, that's where his damage is going to be. Like I mentioned, it is going to be pretty much nerfed if there's a damage cap on the opponent. So you might want to keep it to like maybe 10 debuffs on the opponent when you throw your special attack 2 when you have damage cap. But this is without damage cap. This can do some serious damage if you stack enough debuffs, let's say up to 40 debuffs, which could yield a lot of damage. So personal damaging debuffs are paused during this attack. If the opponent is petrified, the second hit becomes a guaranteed critical hit. So it's guaranteed critical hit as long as you have petrified on the opponent. To have petrified on the opponent, I do believe Mr. Fantastic Synergy will work, as well as having 10 debuffs, 10 damaging debuffs on the opponent. It gains X amount of attack depending on what rank you have. Also, I don't think this is modified. So this is basically, let's say, whatever attack you have. Let's say you have 15,000 attack with all the damage boost, or let's say you have 10,000 attack, with damage mastery and boost, if you're using a 7-star rank 2 or something like that, and then plus 157008, that's just on top of that. So it's not going to be modified. It's just going to be whatever your base attack is with modified, whatever your modified base attack is, it's going to be plus that amount, 1570.8 extra attack for each bleed debuff on the opponent. Also, the good thing about him, when you throw the special attack 2, he gains up to 10% of his max health back. It's pretty much same thing with special attack 3. The only difference is when you throw the special attack 3, you're not going to consume the debuffs. So this is really great, but the only bad thing about the special attack 3 is it's not going to crit. So the special attack 2 will do more damage, to keep that in mind. So the good thing is about this as well too, if you're running damage mastery, you're not going to take recoil damage. When it comes to his signature ability, I really think he needs to be awakened and preferably at max sig. When the opponent is immune to personal bleed, 100% chance to inflict a rupture debuff instead. So if they're immune to debuffs, to bleeds, they're going to inflict a rupture debuff, but keep in mind this will not work with deep wounds, so that's going to be unfortunate. I'm not sure why it doesn't work with deep wounds, but if the opponent is not bleed immune, having deep wounds will definitely increase your damage. So I think this is probably even more important when it comes to his signature ability. He turns into pretty much like Corvus Glaive. When taking direct damage from any source, gain a non-stacking Undying passive that falls off after another taking direct damage for 2 seconds, cooldown 8 seconds. So you gain Undying passive from his Waken ability if you're taking direct damage. So while Undying is active, also, this is why I think it's not only like Corvus Glaive ability, it's actually better because you're going to instantly regenerate 50% from all direct damage taken, but it is reduced by to 25% against skilled champions. So what I like about this Undying ability, if you are max sig, you're going to regenerate up to 50%. So from what? So from bleed and from direct damage, from degeneration, bleed, and poison effects, or even some quest buffs, and even recall mastery, you're going to regen a portion of that health back. So he's kind of pretty much going to be like Corvus Glaive, but just better because he's going to regen a portion of your health back when you take direct damage. I'm not going over to the synergy, so you can take a look at it, or you can go to the website. It's pretty much useless, I think, when it comes to the synergies. Despair you want to have with Morbius. Obviously, having damage mastery will help. Recoil, double edge, and liquid courage. Deep wounds will also help when it comes to Morbius. So the thing about when it comes to Morbius, when it's synergy, you just want to have really big synergy for him. Is Mr. Fantastic is the big synergy for him. If you can use those pre-fights with Mr. Fantastic as well. I know when it comes to 7-star Mr. Fantastic, I don't think it's going to be stronger than a 6-star. I think they already mentioned it's going to be as strong as a 6-star, which is unfortunate. I really just don't like when they nerf champions, especially the ones that I talk about that is going to be OP in the future. They end up nerfing them. I just hope Morbius doesn't get nerfed like the 7-star Odin as well as the 7-star Mr. Fantastic. But that's really all you need. Having Vulture, since he's also a science, having Dr. Octopus is also going to be great, which can inflict Power Sting debuff on the opponent. So yeah, so I think he's going to be great. I just hope he doesn't get nerfed. Thank you.